Alright guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Moto. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a closer look at the Surface Duo from Microsoft I purchased on Mercari. And well, I might be putting it back in the box. Anyway, I purchased this phone secondhand for $200 in decent condition. And for what it's worth, I'm getting a well-spec device with a Snapdragon 855 chipset from Qualcomm with 60 gigs of RAM and in this case 128 gigs of onboard storage. And I say decent condition because this phone had a little tiny crack, on the back panel here, but as you can see with the bumper case, you can't see it. And before I applied these screen protectors from ZAG Invisible Shield, I bought at Best Buy. Full disclosure, I work there, so there you go. But I'm not being sponsored or anything like that. But yeah, I bought the screen protector from Best Buy, and I just had Geek Squad put it on for me because when it comes to plastic screen protectors, I suck at putting them on. And and since the Geek Squad more or less have the facilities to put it on easily without any speck of dust, well, it'll still happen, but it's not as much as doing it here in my dusty ass house. Anyway, a cool design that kind of looks like a Nintendo DS when held in one way. Whenever you're typing up something or you're just playing with the phone from afar, someone will think, oh, this guy's playing with his Nintendo DS. And I get that. You could install emulator on this and play Nintendo DS emulators on this or other console emulators, and assuming there's developers that are developing apps for the Surface Duo for its design language and all that, you can have your game on the top screen and your controls on the other. That way it'll look nice. And in different ways, this phone's dimension is very similar to that of a US passport, or just any passport in general, but I have a US passport, so there it is. So let me open it up without showing my information. The dimensions are very, very close. Even with the little booklet I have my passport in, like, you wouldn't think. You'd be surprised. These two little, come on. You'd be surprised these two little screens can do so much. And the size of it is perfect. So whenever I'm carrying my little sling here for my everyday carry, my ADC, I can just stuff them all in, both my passport book and my phone in there. My Surface Duo, I mean. Well, look, now that I touched that little subject there, you could treat it as a phone, and I get that, but it's mainly a communication device. Use it for writing email, going browsing the web, talking to Microsoft Teams, or video chatting on Skype. You know what I mean? Doing productivity stuff, or typing up Word document, or typing up presentation, or whatever, or just watching video on one screen and having another app on the other. And well, yeah, anyways, the design, thankfully, because it's almost shaped like a passport, I can easily put in my sling along with my other stuff, my pills, my playing cards. You can buy these on Amazon. Anyway, I'll make a video about my EDC now that I'm traveling. I can talk more about the EDC, but not right now. But yeah, the point is, it fits in my sling along with my other stuff, and yeah, very nice. And as the coworker told me, the design and the operating system that it runs, like I said, it enables you to run different kinds of emulators, especially in Nintendo DS, mainly because, like I said earlier, the design. And you can do other console emulators, and yeah, like I said, as long as developers are developing for the Surface Duo's design, you can have. There's a lot of possibilities in terms of the software. The hardware is very nice. Even for the version Duo, it still holds up to this day in 2022. But anyways, so far as at this point in time, when I wrote the script and right now, I've only had this phone for 3-4 days. I haven't really gone into testing out the camera on this, because it's a 11 megapixel camera It's the only camera the phone has, the Surface Duo 1. It serves as a main camera, and it also serves as a selfie camera. It just depends on how you are holding the device. And it has this little LED flash you can turn on and all that. But I will make a video following up on the camera and other, and little. I won't talk about the cameras right now because I haven't really tested them out to the point where I kind of know what I'm looking at or how it looks like. I want to do that for next week when I travel to South Texas. I can kind of play around with the different scenery over there, the lake and all that, the desert like terrain. I'll save that for then, and I'll do a follow up video on the Surface Duo, little long term, after 2 weeks or whatever review. I try to keep up with that as long as my schedule allows me to do so. And while I was doing my homework, my research, I also learned that this first iteration of Duo, along with the Duo 2, instead of getting regular Android 12 later on, it'll probably get Android 12L instead, mainly because Android 12L, according to a lot of people, reviewers, and Google themselves, is more optimized for foldables instead of regular Android 12 is just optimized for every other smartphone. And like I said earlier, for the camera, you have a single lens megapixel sensor for the main and selfies, and you can do 4K video recording at 60 frames per second. You can do HDR, you can do all that stuff, but it's not, like I said, it's not the shittiest camera out there, and it's also not the best thing in the world. Like, it's not shit. It's not a shit camera. It's not the best thing out there. It's better than nothing, basically. And you'll probably mainly use it for Skype or Microsoft Teams, or taking if you have the selfie here and there. And the battery's capacity on this is 3,577 milliamp hours and 18 watt fast charging. And that's another thing. When I bought this phone on Mercari from the seller, I didn't get a bumper case. I got the USB-C cord, but I didn't get the block. I do have all the documentation, including the SIM ejection spool, which looks nice. I'll leave it there. But yeah, the cord is plugged in, so I have it plugged in somewhere. I have it in the box. But yeah, it didn't come with the block, let alone the bumper case that the Surface would have come with originally when you bought it from the store. In this case, from AT&T, because my Surface Duo is locked to AT&T. But Microsoft did sell an unlocked version at Best Buy or directly through them. But anyways, I did try to do the unlock process through AT&T, and for some reason they told me that I have to wait 60 days on the purchase date to unlock it. But I bought this phone secondhand, so I'm gonna have to call their customer service, have them expedite that for me or override it. Find something out, okay? But yeah, it does 18 watt fast charging, which is good. It's better than nothing. It's better than that 5 watts. Better than that 10 watt. It's decent. It's there. But the battery capacity doesn't really mean much if you use your phone. Because battery capacity is one thing, and that's good. But what really matters is how you use your phone. Some people might use their phone for gaming, might do a lot of hotspot, might do a lot of video recording, might do a lot of battery and CPU intensive tasks that might eat through the battery real quick. And some people like myself will probably use the phone for checking email, writing email, going on Instagram, going on YouTube, listening to music, like doing things that are not gonna eat up your battery as much. So your mileage may vary. So I'm not gonna really talk about battery life, because even then I only had this phone for 4 days, and like I said, I'll notice the battery life as I go, and I'll touch base on it whenever I follow up on this phone. And you would think a device like this that was unveiled in the fall of 2019, like the specs already set for it, the 855 chipset, the 6 gigabytes of RAM, Android, and all that. Like, you would think in 2020 they might revise it somehow to get the 865, but they didn't. They just kept it with the 855. Even then, it works fine. But you would think a device like that would have Wi-Fi 6. It does not. It has Wi-Fi 5, 802.11 AC. But even then, it works really well, and especially with my Wi-Fi here at the house. And it doesn't have 5G. It doesn't have millimeter wave or sub 6. It doesn't have 5G at all. Even for a phone this price, you didn't get it. It's LTE Advanced Pro. But even then, better than nothing, and just depends on your carrier's availability on LTE Advanced Pro. But it does support LTE, and well, it's not going to downgrade to 3G because AT&T will obviously they shut that down. I don't even get 3G here in Dallas anymore as of March 4th. They shut down the network for that. So it'll only stay on LTE here in the US. So far I've gotten really good coverage, obviously. The reason I have AT&T. It has Bluetooth 5.0, which is awesome, and it has a USB-C charging port on the bottom with USB 3.1 speed. So if you hook this up to a laptop or a desktop PC that supports 3.1, you can easily transfer photos, videos, files off of this phone or to it, and do what you got to do. And but the downsides of it is that since this one is very thin, pretty much close to the dimensions of the USB-C port, on some devices the plastic is just so brittle it cracks. Not the connector itself, but the plastic surrounding that plug. So I have to be very careful. And I don't know if it's covered in a manufacturer warranty or and whatnot. If it is, I'll probably take a closer look at it, see if I can get it repaired. But I doubt it because of the fact that this phone is cracked on the back. You won't see it because I have this bumper case on it. But anyways, I digress. And here are my two downsides with this phone. And the headphone jack is not that for me. The headphone jack is not an issue. I've had phones that don't have a headphone jack. I mean, I had the iPhone 7 for God's sake when it first came out, and I've been used to that ever since. And with other devices, and I mean my Z Flip 3 here, my S21 FE I'm reading my script off of, my iPad Mini 6th generation, most of my devices nowadays don't have a headphone jack, and if I do need a headphone jack, I can just use the USB-C adapter or a Lightning adapter to use it. But I'm not really concerned about that anymore because I only use the headphone jack adapter whenever I have to plug in my Rode wireless microphone setup. But for my main headphones, I use my Sony WF-1000 XM4s that I very much love, and I've swapped out my AirPods Pro for these because I daily drive these more than my AirPods Pro, mainly because these have better bass and I can use these across all my devices, my Surface Duo, my Z Flip 3, my iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is my daily driver. If I'm using my S21 FE, if I'm carrying it with me, I have it paired to that. These are my daily drivers. I like them. And the Surface Duo supports LDACs. It supports LDAC. So for your high fidelity, your high quality, your high resolution audio, it supports it. I don't know if it's an Android thing. I don't know if it's a Bluetooth 5.0 thing. But the point is, it supports it. And if you look for that feature, if you're looking for that, here you go. It supports it. And I haven't really noticed it. And yeah, like I said, the downsides are that for me, this phone doesn't have wireless charge. And it's kind of understandable because the phones that I mentioned are so thin. It will be impossible at this thinness. It's impossible for Microsoft to put a wireless charge coil on the back or on the front and keep it as thin and just sit on the pad. Another reason why they didn't add why they might have not added wireless charge is because if you have the screens exposed, how are you gonna wirelessly charge it if you have the screens exposed? You know what I mean? So your other way of charging is through the USB-C port. And another thing, this does not have an NFC and chipset on it, so you can't use your phone to pay. You can't use Google Pay, you can't use Microsoft Wallet or what have you to pay with your phone because there's no NFC. So you would either have to use your actual physical credit card or use a smartwatch that has NFC, whether it be a Samsung smartwatch, a Google OS smartwatch, like a Fossil smartwatch, what have you. Something that supports a smartwatch that supports any type of mobile wallet, like the Fitbit. That's your only way to to have mobile payments, because the actual phone itself does not have that feature. So if you're looking for that feature on the Surface Duo, even on the Surface Duo 2, don't even think about it. You're gonna have to have a smartwatch, if not have your physical cards on you to pay for stuff. And this phone, if you want to call it a phone, has two AMOLED screens which look very nice, very crisp and clear, even with the screen protector on them. The only reason I have the screen protectors on them is because when I bought this phone, like I said earlier, it had a bunch of scratches, a lot of micro scratches. They're very noticeable right now. It's not that noticeable because of the screen protector. Good as new. Not really. Once I take it off, you'll see them. You could tell the previous owner was very negligent of this phone. Thankfully, they didn't break the front screens, which is nice. Like I said, two AMOLED screens, hence the name Duo and the Surface Duo name. Two screens, each screen measuring 5.6 inches at a 4:3 aspect ratio. with a resolution of 1350 by 1800 with a 401 pixels per inch, and opened up the resolution is 1800 by 2700 at a 3 by 2 aspect ratio. And I'm keeping it real with the Surface Duo. It looks weird while talking on the phone, and I get it. It's kind of wide for what it is, and I haven't really taken this out other than to work. I haven't gotten any comments from, customers or other people in this, and I haven't really gotten that much of haven't really gotten any feedback other than my coworkers saying, "Oh, you have the Surface Duo. It's a cool phone. It looks like a DS." I took this. The only other place I've taken it to is grocery store, and I got no feedback whatsoever. I mean, I didn't really want to flash it. You know what I mean? I want to be that person either. So if I'm just using my phone, browsing the web or whatever, and someone sees you like, "Oh, that's a cool phone. What phone is that?" Okay, I'll just say, "Oh, it's Surface Duo that came out in 2020. You can buy one used for $250 or whatever have you." When it first came out, I wouldn't have recommended it because it's a first-gen device. It has a lot of bugs on the software, but now that most of the bugs have been ironed out, it's a pretty good phone to have as a secondary phone. It looks weird while talking on the phone, but it kind of looks cool at the same time. So because of that, it's a conversation starter as well. Look, some will call this a secondary device, and I agree, and that's what I said earlier. I would rather use this as a secondary device, but here I am using it as a daily device because ever since I got this phone, I've neglected my Z Flip 3, my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I've kind of geared towards this one because of the two screens. You're more productive on them. You can do two different things at once. I can have my Spotify on one screen, or my YouTube Music, my Pandora on one screen, and I can have my TikTok or Instagram on the other, or I can have my Best Buy app on one and Google on the other. So, especially at work, I can have the Best Buy app on one screen and Google on the other. So if a customer is asking me what's the difference between one product and the other, I can just use my little cheat sheet here on my phone to do all that. It just depends on the person. If you want to use it as a main device, a secondary device, you could pop in a SIM card with a line of service on it and daily drive this thing. But I wouldn't solely rely on it as a phone because I would mainly use it for for app usage, for productivity. Use it for video chat, Microsoft Teams, Google Duo, Skype, what have you, WhatsApp. I really want to do a sound test on this, but I don't want to get any copyright. So let me figure something out real quick, and I'll be right back.
End up forgetting to do something important before you head out. That's why we made this video, a checklist of 37 things to do before you jet off. Hey, I'm Tom from Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. This video details all the...
So the audio comes out of this speaker, which is... I wish it came out of top and bottom, or depending on what side of the phone you're using, come out of that, but this is a first gen device, so Microsoft didn't really think that through. It just comes out of this speaker, and your earpiece is right here next to the camera and your LED flash. And one thing I like about the camera is that here's a bug. You can see the camera. I can just rotate like you saw. I rotated the phone to the other side. You can see it did it. It's buggy still, not too much as it was before, but hey, it works. And your default browser is Microsoft Edge. I mean, I use it on my PC, on my laptop, and yeah, I have all my passwords. I have everything synced across, which is amazing. I have to worry about. I have LastPass too, which is nice. And as you saw, the audio was pretty good as well. And I can do a speed test on this phone. And I will show you all the speeds that I get here with my Wi-Fi. I get 500 megs down and up, megabits. And because I'm using Wi-Fi extenders, well, you can see it's okay. But what if I turned off those? What if I turned off those Wi-Fi nodes? Probably the range would have been atrocious once I turn off those nodes. But you can see it's okay. So let me turn off the Wi-Fi here real quick. And as you can see, I'm getting LTE again. Like I said, this phone it's locked to AT&T, so I have an AT&T prepaid SIM on this. And like I said, this phone, the Surface Duo 1, has a LCI Advanced Pro modem in it, so you can see it's pretty good. 113 megabits down, 14.7 megabits up, which is pretty decent. These speeds you can pretty much go on the web, Microsoft Teams, do whatever you need to do. And yeah, it works in a pinch. I can open up Reddit and I can, but yeah, here's the one scenario. You can have one screen on one, and yeah, look at that. I mean, you can have two apps at the same time. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave it here in this video. I mean, I have nothing else to talk about other than just show y'all give y'all my first impressions and my overall so far so good review, and basically that I got this phone and I like it. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you did not like the video, the button is there, but it doesn't work. But if you're new to the channel, you like the content, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell, get notified when I upload the videos, go live, and I'll see y'all soon. You take care. Have a good day.